Hi, everybody. I said I was going to do something a long time ago, and I did not do it because I had some unreasonable excuses now that I'm looking back. And so this live is going to be a little bit longer than usual. I really hope that you join in, listen to it, because this is going to be the first episode of my podcast. I told you guys I wanted to do a podcast because I feel like I can bring a lot of information to you that's going to change your life and help you just have a better life in general. And so I am doing it. I'm doing it today. I'm showing up for you. I'm showing up for me. I'm showing up for my family. And I've shared my story a while back, but I just want to share my story again and just explain to you why I am who I am, where I'm at in life, and just how I have transformed to the person I am today. And I pray that it inspires you to transform to be the person that you want to be today as well. I have a couple credits I want to give in the beginning. I want to thank one of my best friends and my coaches and mentor, Jenn, for inspiring me to do this. She decided to do hers this week. I didn't even do a launch about it, but I'm here and I am recording it, and I will be uploading it to all the podcast platforms. I also have to thank the angel who inspired me to hit record and finally do it. I've made posts about it. I'm trying not to get emotional, but I've made posts about it the last couple weeks about Jessie Lee and all the things that she did and how she inspired me. And she talked about how she had a podcast and that she wanted to do it for so long and never pressed play. And so it's time to press play because I have a lot in my brain that I know is going to inspire you. And my husband, most importantly, because he believes in me and he pushes me and he wants me to be the best, and he continues to tell me, yes, you can do it. And then, of course, Trent Shelton, you all know I love Trent Shelton, and he continues to show up and he continues to just feed my brain full of these things that I need to know. And I have been able to protect my peace this year and understand my worth because of all the value that he adds to my life. So here we go. Welcome to the Legendcolar Squad podcast, episode 1. Why is it the Legendcolar? Because I believe that you can be a legend. You were put in this world and on this earth to be a legend. But how do you become the legend of your life? How do you do that in the short amount of time we're on this earth? And that's by becoming a scholar. You have to learn, you have to grow. And so I felt like those two words put together would be perfect because that's what I want to do with this podcast. This is what I want to do to help you and inspire you. I want you to live your story, but take ownership and change the chapters of your life. You don't have to keep feeling stuck in life. Take control and become the author of your life story and then share it so it can help other people and change their story. Every battle you're going through is a battle that's going to help others. But what does that mean for you? So today I'm going to share with you things that I'm thankful for and why those different parts of life have transformed me into who I am today. So I became part of an organization about 2 years ago, and it transformed my life drastically and my family's life. In 2022, in July, I went to a convention with the Rockstar Integrity Group. We covered so many things. We covered physical, mental, spiritual, and financial fitness. And those main components at convention were more than just talking areas for me. They provided me keys that unlocked the doors to relationships. They provided me with things that I felt honestly were non existent at that point in my life. I didn't think that I could be physically, mentally, spiritually, and financially fit all in the same capacity. But because of that particular conference, I opened up so many different avenues and I had so many different keys that I was able to unlock so many different things. And it's there for you. Maybe it's not my organization, but it's out there. It's the ability to get those things in life is so easy accessible now. And so whether you know it or not, we have a hidden desire to be a part of something. And the Rockstar family was that something for me. So once in my life, I walked into this room that I was a complete stranger and I knew nobody and I felt super awkward. But at the end of the day, I realized that that was my family. People didn't know who I was and they probably did not care, but they treated me like they had known me my whole life. And so when I came home from that conference in July of 2020, I told Colton I found what it was that was going to help me get back to where I needed to be in life and to open the door back to the Kaylee that most people had known me as. And not only open it and like bring me back to me, but improve this version of myself. So if you've ever worked for a place or someone that made you like completely miserable, then I'm sure you can relate to this because that's where I was. So I want to kind of give you a brief recap of my life and why I was so down and dark and deep at the time. I grew up in a small town. I graduated with about 27 people. I had a lot of friends there, and a lot of people liked me, but I didn't really have a lot of close friends, right? I was active in organizations, and then I had a set of girls that through life were mean to me. You know, it happens. There always has to be there's always that person that had those people that were mean, and unfortunately, that happened to me. One of the girls actually in a situation broke my wrist. So I mean, it is what it was, and that's how life was back then for me. And so I always had this really, really deep insecurity, and like my confidence was super low. I wasn't a goofy kid, or I wasn't weird or anything like that. I was very active. A lot of people liked me, but for whatever reason, I got to be the one that had the mean girls. I played sports, I showed animals, I had different leadership roles in the organizations. After that, I graduated and I went to Stillwater, Oklahoma. And that's where I met Kyra's father. And we, of course, got married, had a child, and all the different things. But one thing led to another. And I ended up being a single mom at the age of 20. And I had no idea what I was going to do, how I was going to do it. I was so young. I was still a kid, honestly. Like at 20, yeah, you got things going on, but you really don't have any idea where you're at in life and what you're doing. And so I guess I was actually 21 whenever Kyra and I ended up being by ourselves. And through that, I felt like I had gone through all these crazy emotions. I thought my life was together because I was married at 20 with a kid and had a house and all the things, right? But at 21, Kyra was 13 months old. Um, her dad left our life, just to say it in small, but he was gone. Snap of fingers, was completely gone. So that's a whole nother story for a whole nother time. But him leaving changed the dynamics of my life completely. We had a 3-bedroom house, we had bills to pay, and literally in a matter of minutes, I became a single mom to this beautiful little girl. I did have a decent job, especially like given the fact that I didn't have a degree, but it really wasn't enough to pay bills. So I ended up moving to this townhouse. We downgraded, and that was more affordable so we could live there. After several months of being this like a single mom, there was so many different things that I was really going through in life, and I just wasn't taking care of business. I mean, I just didn't know what was happening, and I'm just being 100% transparent. I was a good mom. I wasn't leaving her with random people or doing things like that, but I was going to school full time in the evenings, and my mom helped me a lot with her. And so when I got out of class, I was 21 years old, and she wasn't home. She was safe. I would go to the bars. One thing led to another, and I lost my job. And literally within a week, I lost my house. There was a fire. So at this point in time, I'm about 21, 22 years old. I'm homeless and I'm jobless. I have no idea what I'm going to do. The only people that I have in my life in that area was friends, which of course they were great, but I had no family in Oklahoma City. All my family was further away. And so I was by myself. I ended up getting a new apartment. I moved back to Texas eventually because the new apartment I just wasn't able to do it with the new job that I got. So it was a lot going on. I decided to move to Texas. I moved back in with my dad, and I stayed there for a while. Eventually, I started school. I thought I wanted to be a nurse, changed that to teaching. And I realized through that I was in a relationship at the time, and that my relationship was horrible. Like it was just a bad situation. We are together about a year and a half, and 100% of that time it was me taking care of everything. And so I went back to being a single mom again. And like I said, I had family. So I did move back for a good reason because I had family here and they could help me, and I was able to finish school. I got my first teaching job in 2017, and it was actually the school I wanted to teach at. So it was super, super great. At the time, Colton and we've known each other our whole life, and we decided to reunite, and we became really good friends. We were best friends for a very long time before we ever even decided to date. Through that, he was in Oklahoma City, and here I was in Texas. I was working on getting my master's degree and just trying to do all the different things. We were in a relationship at the time. I was traveling literally every single weekend from Wichita Falls to Oklahoma City to go up there because at the time his job and the situation was easier for me to be there. And through that, I got my master's degree. And then, of course, COVID happened. he had moved back. He moved here with me and we got the twins. So that's how we got the twins back in 2019. And everything was going like we planned. Like, we had a house like that we were living in and I was teaching and all the things were happening. And then of course COVID hit. And when COVID hit, it was so crazy because I was a teacher and like, what are we going to do? Like, how's this going to work? All the different things. And within that, we actually were buying our house, which was a trip because it was during COVID and we didn't know if we were going to be able to do it, but we did. I also decided to change positions because I thought where I was at was not the best fit anymore because I had got my master's degree. And if you've ever got a master's degree, you know that you put a lot of work in it and like, why would you not be using it? And so after a year and a half, within a year and a half, I was at a different store. Take it back. I went to a new school. I taught there for a year and a half and I loved doing what I was doing, but where I was at was not right for me. I went through so many different emotions. I was put on anxiety medicine. I was depressed. I honestly didn't even want to wake up a lot of the times because of the situation I was in. And I ended up making a choice in that moment that was so difficult because my passion was teaching. I loved to teach. I loved my kids. I was a special ed teacher. I loved teaching special ed, everything about it. I loved it. But I knew I wasn't happy. And so I had to make that choice to leave the education world. And when I did, it's almost like my world came crashing down even more so than what it already was. I lost my teaching certification for a year. Granted, it was only a year and I have it now and I could use it if I want to, but I'm not because I'm using my education and teaching skills in another manner. But there was so many different mental things I was battling and that I had to wake up and face, or I just wasn't going to be what I needed to be for my family. I didn't know what it was going to take and how I was going to get there. And so I was having all these thoughts and feelings that my life should be so happy. We had gotten married. We had bought a business. I was teaching. I was getting to use my master's degree. My husband is faithful, who loves me unconditionally, and he loves my daughter unconditionally. And there's no questions asked when it comes to our relationship. We had the house we wanted in the country. We had land. We had family. And then, like I said, we were business owners. But my mental state just kept going like in a downward spiral. It was like in a blink of an eye, I went from being this happy person to just, who are you? And like I said, there's so many days that I felt like not even getting up out of bed. Like I don't want to even get up. And so I have never been that person. I've never felt that way. I've always been the upbeat, outgoing individual. And I was so lost. I questioned why I was on this world, like why I was on this earth. Why, like, does my family even need me at this point because I'm in such a bad spot? But I had to remind myself that I had a purpose, even though at this point in time in life, I didn't know what purpose it was. I didn't know what my purpose was. And I know so many times we go through life and we have those phases like, why do we have this like, why? What is our purpose? Why are we here? Why are we doing all these things? And that's where I was at. And so there was so many times I had a smile on my face, but I really didn't have a smile on the inside. I was fighting so many things mentally. And that's one reason why I want to bring this podcast to you. I want you to understand that it's okay to fight those things. It's okay to be broken. It's okay to be lost. It's okay to be confused and unhappy. And maybe it's not in every aspect of your life, which makes it confusing for you. For me, it wasn't my marriage. It wasn't my husband. It was so many internal circumstances that I just could not figure out and I could not get control of. We were with family members back in 21 in November. And one of my really good family members, she's like an aunt to me. She said, "What is going on with you? And where's the Kaylee we know?" And at that point, I knew something had to give. I knew I had to change things. I knew I had to eliminate those toxic environments and figure out what it was that was causing me to not be me. And sometimes it takes that. Sometimes it takes figuring out or having somebody bring it to your forefront of what are you doing? Where are you? Who are you? And it doesn't always feel good when people say that to you, but you have to step back and analyze, like, why am I not who I should be? Or why am I not where I'm at? And why am I not where I need to be? What is causing this? And so at that point, that's when I decided to leave teaching. And so I was on the job search again. I was trying to find a virtual school, but I couldn't find a virtual school to teach in because didn't have my license. And so one thing led to another, and I found the industry of the insurance industry, and I ended up becoming part of the Rockstar family. And so it was very, very difficult because now I'm self-employed too. Now we're both self-employed. How are we going to pay our bills all the time whenever nobody's paying us? We're having to pay ourselves. But because I did that, it gave me some of that clarity and being able to find myself. Leaving the classroom was what I thought was going to be that golden ticket to find myself again, but it didn't. It did not. Like, I'm 100% transparent. Leaving the classroom didn't just open up doors and change where I was at mentally. I knew that there was things I needed to do, but I did not know how to fix the brokenness. I didn't have the tools or the knowledge to change my mindset. And that's why I come on here all the time and talk to you guys about mindset. So here I was again, not only searching. I felt like so many times in my life up to this point, I'd been searching. I had to search for a house. I had to search for a new job. I had to search for what degree I wanted. I had to keep searching. I was always searching. And when you're always looking for something, you still feel lost. But this time I was searching for something and anything at this point to help me break through. And this is when I came across the Rockstar family. I mentioned Jenn earlier, but I met her through a phone interview. And then the next day, I met her on a Zoom. And quite frankly, I didn't even want to do the Zoom. Like, I'm not doing the Zoom. But she was so positive and she was so excited. And she invited me to everything that we had going on at that point. And I figured, okay, you know what, Kaylee, at this point, what else do you have to lose? Right? Like, what do you have to lose? I didn't. I had already felt like I lost everything. And so I jumped in. I did the trainings. I started diving into my appointments. There was a lot of people out there that helped me, and I'm so grateful for them to be able to help me with my appointments that I did because it really escalated my business and helping me understand that I was in the right spot. And so one night that year in June, it would have been June of 22, we had just got our puppy, and Colton looked at me and he was like, "This is where you need to be. I finally am seeing my wife." And I'll never ever forget that night. We were laying out in the grass, we were under the stars with the puppy, just enjoying life. And he was like, I'm my wife's coming back. And so throughout that time, Jenn kept telling me about the convention that I'd mentioned earlier. I went to it. And when I came back, it's like my whole life was on fire for a whole different type of energy. It's like this whole new wave. And that happens, right? We go to conferences, we go to conventions, and you get this new wave. But for me, it was much bigger because of the fact that I had been looking and searching for those tools for so long. And I finally felt like I had the keys to unlock that door to not only help me eliminate the brokenness that was in my life, but just really get me back to where I needed to be. And so finding that in life is so important. Finding what it is that's causing you to have so many pain, so much pain and so much doubt and just being so down on yourself. And sometimes it is finding a place that you're loved for and that you're cared for, and just finding an organization that really changes your life. It's that. But sometimes it could be a podcast, sometimes it could be a book. Quite frankly, it's different for every single person in this world, but you have to continue to look for that until you find it. And then when you find it, you just hold on to it. So I continue to work on my mental health. I continue to work on my spiritual and my financial and my fitness and all of those different things. But most importantly, I know what keys and tools it takes to unlock those doors and to give me the confidence to share and just be vulnerable in what happens in life. And so I'm on this mission to change people's lives, not just financially, but just in general. I read personal development books. There's so many different things that I dive into all the time that help me become a better person. And so when you're going through life and you feel like you're so stuck and you just are constantly searching, like, are you searching for the right things? For me, I wasn't searching for the right things. For me, I thought it was a job that was going to change it. I thought that, a new opportunity doing something is going to be different. But really and truly, it wasn't. It was this that had to change. I had to dive deep. I had to dig. I had to read. I had to listen to these podcasts I talk about all the time and change my mindset. Because when you change your mindset, it changes the vision. It changes what you see and how you approach life, and it changes how you approach your everyday activities and events that are happening. I shared with you last week. Monday, we had our toolbox was stolen out of the back of Colton's truck. And when I say toolbox, like I've mentioned before, he's in construction and they literally took all of his tools. And so you can imagine how that makes you feel. Tuesday, my car broke down. Wednesday, his car broke down. But at the end of the day, I had to step back and realize that, you know what, there's still things to be grateful for. And that's something that comes with the mindset shift is where are you finding gratitude in the bad? And that's what I didn't do when I was going through all the struggles I was going through for so many years when I kept having to search for what was going to change my life. But it's because I wasn't grateful. I didn't have those moments of gratitude in those worst moments of my life. I just would sit and I would just brew in it and I would just let it overwhelm me. And that's unhealthy. And so if you're facing battles, then really step back and analyze, are there things that I can be grateful for? Because when you start finding great gratitude in the moments of hard, you're going to change the way that you look at life. It's going to be different. You're going to find new opportunities, not that you're searching for those opportunities, like I said, but you're going to find new opportunities that are going to open up the door for you in ways that you didn't even understand. And like I mentioned earlier, I'm sharing my story with you today because I want you to see an outside picture, because I want you to see that an outside picture is not always what's happening in people's life. So many times we're facing these battles that we don't share. And most time, the closest people around us never even realize that we're battling these types of things. So you have to be patient with people. You have to be patient with yourself. You have to be understanding with yourself and people, but you also have to listen to people, even if it seems minimal, because sometimes people are asking for help. Sometimes people are asking for things that maybe you don't understand what they're asking for, but they're reaching out because they need that something to help them. And so I hope that this is meaningful to you. I hope that it's impactful. I hope that it just helps you understand that it's okay to be going through the battles. It's okay to feel down and dark and broken, but it doesn't mean that life's over. Adding value to people's lives on a daily basis has become so crucial to me, because there was a point in time in my life that I had one person adding value to my life, and that was my husband. And my kids, of course, but my kids they don't intentionally add value. Like, you just get value from them, right? But adding value to people every day may change their life drastically. You have no idea what you can do, what you can say. Sometimes it's the smallest comment, the smallest little phrase that you say to somebody that can drastically change what they're going through in their head. So you can do it. You can win the battle. Keep your head up and keep pushing. Keep looking forward to whatever it is that gives you that sense of belonging. And when you find it, then keep it. Like, cherish it. You know what I mean? Don't keep searching. It's not always that life shouldn't always be a search for the next best thing, because like they say, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. And with social media, it's usually just a filter, right? And so just keep pushing, keep believing in yourself. If you're going through battles, if you're going through struggles, find that gratitude in each moment. Find the gratitude in the bad. So then that way you can find the opportunity out of those rough situations. Thank you for joining me. I'm Kaylee. I'm the teacher of finances. I hope you found value in this. I hope this was meaningful to you. This is going to be on all the different podcast platforms, and I'm going to be bringing you some sort of mindset at least once a week on the platform. So I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your week. It's Wednesday, so I hope you have some Wednesday wins that you can celebrate and share, and just have a great rest of your week.